Hello and welcome to www.thepapare.com, and you are tuned in live as we bring you pictures from London Place as CR&FC host Yafos Sports Club on quite a gloomy and rainy evening here at London Place. The rains doesn't seem to be reducing, and it has been coming down quite hard over the past few minutes, and don't think you'll see any difference as the day progresses. I've got Shanaka alongside me in the commentary box. Shanaka, terrible conditions for rugby, but what could we expect today?
Well, familiar conditions in some parts of the world, Romario, and that's something that the players are needing to get used to now, especially since that we have moved the season into this colder part of the year, something that was the brainchild of Asanga Senivaratne when he was the president of Sri Lanka Rugby. Maybe questions need to be asked, especially given this forecast lightning and rain, whether it's feasible to continue in this part of the year or not. That's something that perhaps we need to ask ourselves if the weather patterns don't really change, and this is something we're going to see year after year, because it takes the people away from the game as well. I'm sure a lot of people might have nestled in their sofas with a hot cup of coffee or a hot cup of tea and have tuned into the Papare.com to watch this game, whereas we see quite a few empty stands, which is not good for the game, it's not good for the club, it's not good for the players, and it's really not good for Sri Lanka Rugby overall. But what can you do? Can't control the weather, Mario.
Yes, indeed, it's uncontrollable. Usually during the latter part of the years, the rains do subside, but this time around, and it has the weather patterns have continuously changed, and also a couple of storms coming towards India in the past couple of weeks also haven't helped our cause. But the game looks as if it will continue, and that's a bit of good news for the people who are at home. But the teams, they will have a torrid time out there.
Well, they will, but also it's not energy sapping conditions, Romario. We have played in the rain before, and it makes it a nice slow game sometimes, the absence of the sun. And if you look at that warm-up pass, it looks like Zubair Dore is not going to hold back on the distribution aspect of things. He's not going to bring it short. And maybe Coach Jashanth Leuke in his nice light blue anorak is going to make sure that this team plays the brand of rugby it's set out to play. Because you've got to be able to play in rainy conditions, Romario, and it's sometimes easier to play when it's heavy rain like this than it is when it's a little bit of a drizzle and the ground is just a little bit wet. Sometimes the really wet ball is easier to grip than the one that's slightly slippery.
Yes, if they are to be anywhere close to getting the championship from Kandy, I think CR will surely have to be able to be weatherproof and play out in any weather condition. But before we go any further, we will go in for a quick commercial break, and on the other side it will be team cards and kickoff.
The largest paint supplier of Japanese vehicles, original equipment manufacturer approved, Nax Premila 2K is the most premium quality auto refinishing solution you will ever need.
Hey, have you heard about Z?
ZZ. We KYC.
Easy.
Mobile banking. Crazy.
Education loans and salary advances.
Amazing. Introducing the Digital Youth Account. NDBZ. NDBZ from NDB Bank. The future is banking on us.
The history maker of sport. Innovative, incomparable, unleashing an experience. The Papare TV. Now exclusively on Dialog TV channel number 126, Sri Lanka's #1 sports channel.
ශ්‍රී ලාංකීය ක්‍රීඩා විකාශනයේ මෙතෙක් අත් නොවිති නව්‍යතම අත්දැකීම් සමගින් ක්‍රීඩා ටෙලිවිෂනයේ සම්ප්‍රාප්තිය The Papare TV Dialog Television නාලිකාංක 126 ඔස්සේ ශ්‍රී ලංකාවේ අංක 1 ක්‍රීඩා නාලිකාව.
The history maker of sport. Innovative, incomparable, unleashing an experience. The Papare TV. Now exclusively on Dialog TV channel number 126, Sri Lanka's #1 sports channel.
Smashed him for 6, big bombs. Myers at a go. Richardson knocks him over.
You win the big league.
Celebration, he is fired up.
Big leagues now.
Magnificent catch.
You win the big leagues now.
Taken.
Big leagues now.
Heroic. He gets all of it.
The biggest bash of T20 cricket is here. KFC Big Bash League 2023.
Club Rugby is back on the Papare. Eight contenders, one champion. Nippon Paint Rugby League, 1st December onwards. Live on the Papare TV, Dialog TV channel 126, Dialog ViU app and ThePapare.com, Sri Lanka's #1 sports channel.
Prima Kottumi, fun tamai.
Introducing NeosPay, a fun way to make payments from your Neos app. For the fun of paying, #NeosPay.
Protect your home from harmful bacteria. Nippon Paint Medifresh, a powerful combination of silver and zinc ions. Nippon Paint, the coatings expert.
Hot and spicy fun vibe එක විවර කරන්න. Beat එක remake කරන්නට වෙන්න. හදවත බාවලා යන්න ගින්නර fashion කරන්න. Fun තුරන්න කොතුමි kick එක වෙන්න. Prima Kottumi, fun tamai.
Eight contenders, one champion. Nippon Paint Rugby League, 1st December onwards. Live on the Papare TV, Dialog TV channel 126, Dialog ViU app and ThePapare.com, Sri Lanka's #1 sports channel.
Smashed him for 6, big bombs. Myers at a go. Richardson knocks him over.
You win the big league.
Celebration, he is fired up.
Big leagues now.
Magnificent catch.
You win the big leagues now.
Taken.
Big leagues now.
Heroic. He gets all of it.
The biggest bash of T20 cricket is here. KFC Big Bash League 2023.
Welcome back to live action here from Longdon Place. The CR&FC is drenched, as you can see. The umbrellas are out, the raincoats out, but the players won't have the luxury of any of that, as we see the soggy pitch conditions on what is a gloomy Friday evening here in the Nippon Paint Club Rugby League 2023-24. So 2 seasons, or 2 weeks rather, in and CR&FC remain unbeaten along with Kandy. There have been a few topsy-turvy results in the rest of the league, of course. So just these two teams that remain unbeaten, and Air Force, who are used to playing in difficult conditions there in Ratmalana where there's a strong crosswind, will maybe think that they can nick one off CR&FC, the red shirts, the runners-up from last year. Maybe they think that these conditions will level the playing field a little bit more, Mario.
Yeah, I think they will think that way, but as we see the Yafos lineup, they have 3 changes coming in with Manuka Perera, Parakrama Ratnaka and Nirmal Wickramasinghe in the front row. Nilantha Javira, Rumesh Vasantha in the lock positions with Fernando Madhushanka and Piris rounding off the run-on front 8. Piyum Jayasinghe makes a comeback, a long-awaited comeback, as he partners up with Gayanthi Iddamalgoda. Pramod Padmasanka and Ishara Madhushanka is in the centres, while Bandara, Dabare and Gunasekara will round off the run-on 15 for Yafos. And I think if Yafos are to make any inroads, they will surely need they'll have to be stern in defence, and their attack will no doubt have to be potent, and their kicks surely will have to be on point.
Here's the CR&FC team. Tanuja Jayavira, Amit Gurusinghe, Ashan Darling in the front row. Shehan Kalaniyagoda and new boy Navin Marasinghe moves from number 8 to the lock position in the club game. Ravin De Silva, Adisha Veeratunga and Lasantha Vishan Karunatilaka make up a very balanced third row for CR. Kavindu De Costa, the veteran captain from last year, and he's in the number 9 jersey as usual. Tenuka Nanayakara partners him at 10. Kavindu Yasas is on the left wing. Iranga Aryapala and Randy Silva make up a new centre pairing, will need to be tested. And Gamunu Chetia, of course, on the right wing with Peter Wright fullback Kushan Tarindu making his debut for CR&FC at number 15. In the reserves, it's interesting to see Soiru Anthony starting off the bench, the skipper. Another De Costa, of course, in the 21 shirt, and Zubair Dore coming off the bench also, with Kodagoda, Sudat and Randul making up the forward replacements.
Plenty of firepower there for CR&FC. Not only in the starting 15, but also on the replacements bench, and CR&FC will no doubt know what they have, what sort of task they have at hand. But having said that, I think with the rains coming down, game plans surely would have changed from earlier on today, and I think we can expect quite a good game, but hopefully the weather will not go from any bad to worse.
We have to ask whether the coaches thought about doing what has been talked about in the World Cup and doing a 6-2 split or something like that, Romario, because it's unlikely that the backs are going to come into this game very much at all in conditions like this. Of course, you will need them to chase the kicks, but perhaps an extra forward reserve is something that the coaches might have thought about. They have toyed with it, but I don't think they've really gone ahead with it and taken the risk. So there's also a risk of injury in conditions like this. But the referee is going to be one of the most important people in this game, Romario, because if the game is called off after half-time, then there can be a result attributed to the game, which means that like the team batting first in a cricket match, you've got to always be ahead on the scoreboard, and that's something that CR&FC, who are defending their unbeaten tag, will want to think about going into this game. They can't afford to get too far behind, especially if it's getting close to half-time or immediately after half-time, and there's a likelihood that the game might be called off. So that's something for all the players to keep in mind, and the benches, of course, to instill into their players as well, as all the formalities, the pre-game formalities, are taking place under the old pavilion, and the players will finally make their way out for the first whistle, as Parakrama Ratnayaka leads out his team. You can see that the players are taking a bit of time to get warmed up. You would have seen them on a sunny day sprinting out there, but this sort of conditions tends to make you a little bit cold until the game really starts off.
Ravin Alexander will be the man in charge from the centre, and he will be assisted by Callum Sandarawan and Chamara Siamala-Pitya, as the crowds tend to raise their voices as CR&FC enters the fray. CR have made quite a few changes coming into this game, and I'm sure they will be hoping that their reserve players as well could get in a good hit and get some good momentum, because the game of rugby, it is far from being a 15-man game. It's a 23-man game, and your bench is really vital as the game progresses.
Coach Dishant Luke has plenty of ball carriers in that forward pack. Sudarshana, Lasindu Ishan, Karuna Thilaka, as we see in the center of your screen there. And of course, Navin Marasinghe, who's come in from St. Joseph's after a marauding season as captain of that Joe's team. And he will be one to look forward today in the tight battles, which we're going to see plenty of here. And of course, we have Adisha Veeratunga, who will be dominant in the lineouts, I'm sure. So the tight game, if it is a tight game, will favour CR&FC. You have to think in terms of size.
Size and weight is surely on the side of CR&FC, but if Yafos are to make anything out of this, I think Gayantha Iddamalgoda and their backline will have to come up with some surprises. But the weather conditions aren't in their favour, and well, it's of course isn't in any team's favour. But the team that adapts to the conditions best will have the best shout.
Ishara Madhushan kicks off, and the ball actually does manage to go up in the air, which sometimes it doesn't in these conditions. Kamindu de Costa fields and will opt for the safety of a little bit of distance, and making his comeback into Sri Lanka Club Rugby, Piyum Jayasinghe makes his first run but concedes also the first penalty, as Ravin Alexander is right on the spot. Piyum was completely isolated, and Kamindu de Costa, his opposite number, takes it quickly and goes. It's not going to be a day for penalty kicks. Straight through the middle goes Navin Marasinghe. Quick ball for de Costa. Little kick through put in by Kushant Tarindu, and it looks like it's the first try of the game for Gamanu Chetia, and yes it is. Kushant Tarindu, as you said, Romario, adapting to the conditions, putting that little kick through, and Gamanu Chetia alive to it.
Yes, indeed. That's a great bit of play by the fullback. He spotted that there was quite a bit of a mismatch there at the back with numbers, and the kick was put in, and no real player coming in for Yafos to clean things up. And Gamanu Chetia, of course, just slid all the way through and dotted down for the opening try.
It looked like even the CR players couldn't really believe what was going on. How easily they got that try. But Air Force shouldn't really read too much into this, because it is very early doors and they're still getting used to what's going on there. So I do think that Air Force will regroup pretty quickly. Don't think they expected Kamindu de Costa to take that penalty quick tap as he did. Kudos to the veteran for realizing that this is how the game needs to be played, very quickly, and taking all your opportunities in these conditions. But it's going to be a long night for kickers. You can see that's why de Costa took the penalty quickly. Kamindu Yasas is the chosen kicker today, and didn't really make a good contact with all that underfoot waterlogging. Nishara Madhushan will be back 2.5 minutes after he did exactly the same thing. This is a better kick from an Air Force point of view, but it falls to Kamindu de Costa again, and this time he opts for the safety of the touchline.
The territorial battle will also play a vital part in this game, Shanaka, and neither team will surely not want to play any part of this game inside their own 22 and inside their own half, and I think the safety of touch, kicks put into touch, will be vital going forward.
So Air Force immediately going for a shortened line out and winning it nicely at the front. Taken there by Nilantha Jayaveri, who has been excellent for Air Force at the front of those lineouts. Piyum Jayasinghe has lost a bit of zip on that pass, you have to say. Gayantha Iddamalgoda. Nicely taken by Kamindu Yasas. And now Adisha Veeratunga in his bright new red jersey that he's not really used to wearing, but CR&FC have pulled off a coup, getting the former Navy captain into their starting lineup. But again, Kamunu Chetia skating on that touchline, unable to get to the ball.
Great idea, and there was a bit of space on the outside. However, unfortunately, the ball cannot expect it to sit up in this sort of wet conditions, and the ground too plenty of waterlogged. Unfortunately, nothing much comes away for CR&FC.
Parakram Ratnayaka to throw in. Comes off an Air Force hand, but there's a knock on in the center of the field. Aryapala. See plenty of those, and I don't think anybody will be blaming Aryapala there. It was not a great pass, and he had to pick it up off his bootlaces, which is hard enough in dry conditions.
From the moment the line out was thrown, unfortunately did not go to hand, and from then on CR&FC found themselves in quite the bit of pressure, and unfortunately the knock-on yielding the way for Yafos to put into the scrum.
Going off the back of that scrum is the Air Force number 8, Nishan Piris. Makes good ground, brought down eventually by the CR third row. Air Force will look to string some phases together. Nirmal Vikramasinghe it was who took that ball forward, and Kavidu Yasas has been safe under a couple of high balls so far. Randy Silva ducking under Kushan Tarindu ducking under a tackle. And Amit Gunasinghe finds himself at first receiver, and he's also the recipient of a high tackle. Vikramasinghe was the man who was guilty. Nothing more than a penalty, says referee Alexander very correctly.
The tackler was quite upright on that occasion, and as the attacker ducked himself into the tackle, his arm was always going to hit him above his shoulder, and the referee makes no mistake from spotting that one out. Now it'll be interesting to see what sort of move CR&FC brings into this, because the line out previously did not go to hand.
Nicely taken at the front again by Nirmal Vikramasinghe. Sorry, it was Nilantha Jayavira. But referee Ravin Alexander has spotted a technical infringement at the line out. But that won't make Amit Gunasinghe very happy. Neither will it make Adisha Veeratunga very happy. You could see that the lifters were walking backwards, taking him away from the ball. But luckily for Adisha, there was a penalty coming, and they will have another opportunity just a few meters further on.
CR were clearly beaten to that line out there by Yafos, but unfortunately the ball, the skipper wasn't expecting the turnover, and he knocked the ball on, and the player in front of him played it, and that's what brought about the penalty for CR&FC.
So Gunasinghe with another chance. They are very close to the try line, only 5 meters out, so would imagine that they would try to maul this one over. That's a much better jump, much steadier lift from the CR lifters, and trying to get the ball. Oh, and it does touch the touchline. Nicely spotted there by the assistant referee. So Air Force doing really well there, Romario. It's the only thing you can really do in that kind of a position. Try and drag them into touch, force them into touch, and CR didn't do too well in combating that, because it was a number 2 jump.
Yes, indeed, Yafos did quite well. They were getting pushed at quite the rate of knots, but they somehow managed to just drive it towards the touch line, and unfortunately a bit of butterfingers there in the rain. You can expect plenty more of that. as the ball was knocked on into touch.
Air Force managing to win that line out and get the relative safety of a couple of phases. Real pressure, but the try will be scored, and Lasindu Ishan Karunatilaka extends his lead at the top of the try scoring chart. But that was one of the easiest tries he'd ever have scored in his life, I'm sure, and probably one of the oddest tries that you'd ever see. Completely the conditions, as the Air Force first receiver tried to clear his lines, just couldn't make contact with the ball. His foot didn't come off the floor, I think.
From the moment the pass came to him, he was under quite the bit of pressure, and there was a good chase coming in as well, and they somehow managed to put him under immense pressure there, and the kick, he had no chance of getting it away, and it just stopped in goal.
Shows the value of a box kicking scrum half, doesn't it, Romario? You need to be able to take those kicks from the base, especially in your in-goal area, and not put your fly half under additional pressure. They changed kickers now, and Thanu Kananeyakara looks like he's taken over. Interesting kicking style, but it comes off the crossbar. He struck it pretty well. He'll be happy with that first effort in this sort of conditions. Just watch it here. Gayantha Iddamalgoda just couldn't make a connection. Adisha Veeratunga putting him under enormous pressure. And all three of the CR third row boys there, and Ishan is the one who scores a try. So it's 10 points to 0 in favor of the home team. Kicked off again by Madhushan, and for the third time in a row, Kavindu de Costa puts this one deep into Air Force territory. Nadun Gunasekara looked like it might have been taken late, but it was nothing too serious. It was kicked out on the full as well under pressure, so CR will have the put in.
Plenty of indiscipline there by Air Force. He did have the option of just sending a couple of passes out to his left hand side, but opted to put boots to ball and went straight out of touch.
Veeratunga with a nice take in the front of the line out. Marasinghe in midfield, where he's so dangerous, managing to get the pass off. Was Imanga Aryapala, and Gamunu Chetia just can't hold on to the ball. Juggled it, taking it at pace, but again CR looking a little dangerous. Veeratunga, Costa with the wide pass, and Naneyakara with the good distribution. A nice short ball from Lasindu Ishan to Marasinghe, and this is where Imanga Aryapala managed to get it away, and Randy's pass was just a little too hard, an unforgiving pass for his winger there, Romario.
Yes, indeed, and in this sort of conditions, catching those passes, those bullet passes, are quite the task. Unfortunately for Gamunu, he wasn't up to it, and yet another knock on.
That's experience for Randy Silva. Want a little bit of a softer pass for sure. CR driving forward, and this time it's Piris who comes off the back again. Such an important skill for a number 8 when your scrum is going backwards. Iddamalgoda that time scurries it away, but not into touch. It's not a great pass from Chetia, but Aryapala does a little better. But once again, the CR players not respecting the conditions, Romario. You need to be able to change your technique and not just spiral pass all the time. You've got to give a bit of a flick pass, a softer pass, an end over end pass sometimes.
Yes, of course, and also they are just putting the receiver in under immense pressure by throwing not clean passes, and that doesn't help the receiver's cause as well. But now, after about 12 minutes or so, Yafos get some sort of a platform to attack from.
Pires is grabbed by De Costa, and the knock-on is coming. So again, the experience of coming to De Costa knew exactly what was happening and managed to make a really important defensive intervention there, not allowing Air Force to get any go forward.
Some great bit of play there by the Nippon scrum half. He knew, he pretty much read that play and just did not let the number 8 get anywhere close to getting that ball out, and just tackled him in time and took his hands off, and a knock-on is yielded there.
Better ball for Kavindu this time. Randy Silva peeling around. Gamunu Chetia bumping off the first tackle. He's put on a bit of weight in the off-season, Chetia. Here's Marasinghe again, busting his way through the close quarters. A little bit of unsightedness, but the ball stayed going backwards, and here's Adisha Veeratunga with nice soft hands. Does a sensible thing. Here it is for Lasidu Ishan once again. Hands off one player. Manages to get it away, and play on, says the referee. No, he has his arm out for a penalty. Ashan Darling, and now here's Amit Gunasinghe. Front rows getting a chance to run at this Air Force defense. Nice hands once again to Ravin De Silva. The penalty is coming. Kavindu De Costa asking for that previous advantage, but I think referee Robin Alexander had correctly ruled that advantage was over. Romario, they had an opportunity.
Yes, indeed, they did have an opportunity, and also they did go past the gain line, and they gained a couple of meters. Unfortunately, the CR player was isolated for a moment, and it was well spotted by the Yafos Jackal as he went over the ball. As we see the replay, CR continued to throw those long cutout passes, and unfortunately for De Silva, he was isolated, and not too sure how well the Jackal was holding his feet there, balancing his weight, but having said that, the penalty goes in favor of Yafos.
I think referees are going to be a little bit more forgiving in these conditions about keeping their feet, Romario, and I think that's correct. I think referees have to be reasonable and sensible when they look at the conditions. As long as they're consistent, I don't think anyone can complain. Nice take once again from Nilantha Jayavira. Piyum Jayasinghe now looking perhaps for the box kick. Not really something that he perfected during his days as a scrum half, his heyday as a scrum half, I should say. Air Force using one-out runners, not sure how good that is a tactic. They need to find their way into the CR half, which they haven't done yet. And now it looks like they might have turned the ball over. Yes, they have. 2 knock-ons and a good counter-ruck. You can see Ashan Darling getting all the plaudits for that counter-ruck.
Plenty of pressure coming through at that breakdown by CR&FC. Yafos, they did seem to secure possession, but were a bit slow in releasing it there. And some good pressure by Ashan Darling, and the ball was turned over.
So plenty of scrums in this game. This will make Air Force tire because they're really trying to hold on in these scrums for dear life. You can see that secondary shove coming on. Karuna Tilaka controlling it at the back, looking for the penalty. but he also has an opportunity to pick and go. Eventually does so. Swiveling his way to the line, nicely picked up by Aryapala. Aryapala with a good leg drive gets his way almost to the try line. Randy Silva screaming for it out wide, but they're not going to give it there. You can bet your bottom dollar they'll keep this with them, the forwards. It's a kind of game that they revel in. Tanuja Jayavira spinning towards the try line. De Costa looking for Gamunu Chetia this time. Chetia finds himself in the close quarters, still going. No tackle made yet. It's not over the line, says the referee. Remember that it's a goal line dropout now if CR can't ground the ball. De Costa reaching one-handed into that line, and Tenuka Naneakara throws the dummy and falls over. It was always coming, and Naneakara was the beneficiary of some really hard work by the forwards. Some good decision making once again by De Costa, showing left and then going right, realizing where the space was, and the CR fly half getting a try.
A couple of faces by CR to the left-hand side, and that drew all the defense out from the touchline. And once the Shramaf went from the back door to Tenuka Naneakara, he had just one thing on his mind, and that was all about just throwing that dummy and diving over. And that's exactly what he did, as he takes the CR score to 15 points. And now he has an opportunity to add the extras with a little bit over 20 minutes gone. He connects well, and Tenuka Naneakara slots over the first conversion of the evening for CR&FC, and that takes their score to 17 points to nil, and CR sitting pretty.
So Naneakara converting his own try. And as the rain has eased up slightly, smattering of spectators coming into the grounds. It's a very early kickoff, isn't it, Romario? The Friday games used to be an hour later, 4:45 kickoff, just to allow after work folk to come to the game.
Just the weather these days not helping the cause of having a game kickoff that late, as it gets quite dark by 5:30 or so.
Lots of reasons why we may need to rethink the timing of the rugby season. As Aryapala picks up and goes, De Costa runs a few steps backwards to give himself an opportunity of space to clear. It's not taken very well by Air Force. And Randy Silva with a lovely little flick back infield, and De Costa shows and goes. Still going, the skipper. Playing with a lot more freedom than he did when he was actually captaining the Red Shirts. You can see that they really wanted to score that try.
Yes, that was quite unfortunate there. Navin, he did spot the opportunity and picked the ball up and went. But unfortunately, as he fell down, the ball just got away from his grateful grasp. And he lost control of it, as the referee calls a knock-on in favor of Yafos.
So the front rowers' eyes will light up. Air Force's captain, Parakram Ratnake, will have to rally his troops, especially at this position. Pires goes off the back again as expected. He's been doing well. And gets a little bit of help, that time coming from Pramod Padmashankar in the number 12 jersey. Ishara Madhushan is the man favoured this time. You have to ask yourself why he wasn't taking those kicks earlier, because he did really well to get that ball away when Gayantha Iddamalgoda had been struggling.
Now Yafos this time around are able to get a bit of yardage on that clearance kick. And now CR will have to build from what looks like about 6-7 meters inside their opponent's territory.
Ball to the back. Amit Gunasinghe has regained some confidence in his throws and taken beautifully by Ravin De Silva. Aryapala delays that ball. Randy Silva that time, or Kushan Tarindu rather, takes it into contact. And now Amit Gunasinghe, and once again CR knocking on. Maybe trying to be a little too open in these conditions. Now they've got a 17-0 lead. Need to come back to what got them that lead in the first place, CR. Just maybe step in half a step closer to your passer, half a step closer towards the defensive line. The little changes that they need to make. Ravin De Silva with the headband on the far side of the CR scrum. Brother Malit played on the wing for CR a few years ago. Pyum Jayasinghe, the veteran. Chetia breaks one tackle and takes it over the halfway line, but Ishara Madhushan's jackal was a little too dodgy for referee Alexander.
Yes, indeed, there was no way that that ball was coming out from there legally, as the tackler just fell in a heap on top of the ball carrier, and unfortunately for him, he tried to just be a bit sneaky and pick one off, but the referee right under his nose calls the penalty in favor of CR&FC, and the pressure just keeps piling on Yafos.
Gunasinghe throws into a three-man line-out and a picked off once again by Jayavira. He's been doing brilliantly, but none of his teammates seem to be capitalizing off his line-out steals. And CR still have it despite losing that first phase ball. Cutting back on the angle is Aryapala. Huge tackle on him. CR looking to keep it nice and tight. Kavinder De Costa asking his forwards to take over. A knock on, says the referee, so he'll come back for a penalty, and De Costa takes it quickly again. Goes very close to the try line, and Ravin De Silva manages to take it off his skipper, and in the end it's Ran De Silva who touches down. Ran De Silva, who's a far cry from the waif of a boy who played for Isipatana, has put on plenty of weight and is now a real threat in that 13 channel. So again the quick tap, quick thinking by the quick-footed scrum half, resulting in another try for CR.
Tries galore here at CR&FC for the home team. 22 points already, and the 4-try bonus point as well has been secured. with a little more than 10 minutes left in this first half as well. Good to see CR in such a vein of form, and the weather does not seem to be hampering their progress. And if you are a CR supporter, you'll be quite happy to see how the hosts have been making progress.
Everyone would have been forgiven for thinking it's going to be a low-scoring game, Romario, given the underfoot conditions. But CR haven't let that stop them. And although the conversions have been a little awry, they've scored plenty of tries. Here's DeCosta cutting back infield, realizing where the space was, met in a good tackle by Madhushan, but then Ravin De Silva did excellently to rip the ball away and put his threes into motion.
Yes, indeed. I think it was all created there by Ravin after DeCosta's hard work. Ravin could have just done the easy thing of just taking the ball up into contact, but he spotted the opportunity and fed his three-quarter line, and they added the finishing touch to it.
Almost half an hour gone. As Adisha Veeratunga feels the kick and busts through a couple of tackles himself, but it's a high hit on him. Air Force will need to take their discipline into consideration as Kavinda De Costa takes yet another quick tap. Here's Ravin De Silva again, the same combination that scored them that try. Marasinghe busts one tackle, but his pass can't find the hand.
Quite a bit of errors there by both teams. Air Force did not retreat back 10 meters when they made the tackle on De Costa. As he took the quick tap, he was advancing, and the players within 10 meters tackled him, and that was the first penalty advantage that CR was playing with.
Looking at the Air Force flanker, Vimukti Fernando. Can see the studs on his boot, the plastic studs there, Romario. And usually in conditions like this, rugby is a winter game in other parts of the world, but in conditions like this, forwards usually have at least 4 long studs on the front of their boot. But of course that's a luxury now, given the conditions that these clubs have in terms of financial constraints, and the players themselves to be able to afford different boots for different terrains. Amit Gunasinghe. Adisha Veeratunga goes to the back, but they follow him. Do Air Force. This is one area of the game they have been completely dominant in. Everything else, though, CR&FC have done better. It was Rumesh Vasanta, I think, who got that try. But again, Ishara Madhushan found the gap, then chose to run into the man. A huge tackle coming once again from Ashan Darling. He's been having a roaring game in conditions that he would love. Not too hot, allows him to slide around a little bit. Another tackle from Darling. Hume Jayasinghe. Madhushan this time chooses to clear and manages to find space behind Kushan Tanidu, and the quick tap is thwarted by a good chase from Air Force.
Quite a scrappy passage of play there, and it's quite difficult to see whether the player was inside the 22 meter as he was it as well. But the referee is closest to the action, and he ruled out that the ball was inside the 22 when the pass was made and when the ball was kicked out. So now CR&FC will have to build again from the 50 meter mark.
Looks like Air Force have been forced into an early substitution. We'll tell you about that as soon as we have a little bit more information. And after that injury break, play is back on, time is back on, and Amit Gunasinghe after a good line-out throw to number 6 a few minutes earlier, can't hit a barn door this time. But again, CR's failing line-out is not capitalized on by Air Force. They just don't know what to do or can't find the hands to sort something out of turnover ball.
They're quite stunned when the line-out is overthrown and when the ball is collected, as they have not been able to make anything out of it on a single occasion. So that's a bit alarming for Air Force and their forwards.
Not sure whether that's a head knock or a blood bin. Looks like it might be a blood bin. Physio Amit and player Amit. We have Kavin Srivikum, who trots in for an unexpected burst of play just before half time. He won't be too much of a fan because he'll have to go back and sit down with a wet jersey when Amit Gurasinghe is ready to come back on. Di Costa to feed. Nanyakara for Di Costa looping around. Straight up goes Randy Silva, but leaves the ball behind. The referee will come back for the knock-on.
Passes are sticking, but unfortunately when the ball carrier goes into contact is when he loses it, as we see the replay there. A good pass on the red basket there, but unfortunately as Randy just was spun in the tackle, he lost control of possession, and that's what caused the knock-on.
Jayasinghe off the back under no pressure this time. Bishara Madhushan has shifted to fly half for this kick. And it's a good kick as well. Fielded by Kavidu Yasas, and Kushan Tarindu has his kick charged down. And Air Force will have a territorial gain, but not the put-in.
Yes, this time around it was a pinpoint accurate kick there by Ishara. He found the tram lines. The CR players did quite well to secure the ball, but a good chase coming in there, and the kick just got charged down.
It's better work from Air Force. This is how they should probably have tried to make inroads a little while before 36 minutes. And Kavin Srivikum with bit of a dodgy throw, you have to say. Didn't go the 5 meters. And Air Force have chosen the scrum.
Srivikum still taking a bit of time to settle into his role. Unfortunately for him, the conditions aren't helping them out, helping his cause.
So Sasika Ashan has come in. Looks like Vimukti Fernando has gone off after that injury. And Air Force feeding from the right side of the scrum again. Trying to take the scrum half out of the defensive equation. This means that they'll want to run. Yes, Dabare tries to put the little goose step in, but just can't hold on to the ball. You have to sympathize with the players. Holds his hand up in apology to his team.
Terrible conditions as this time around Air Force got a bit of width on the ball, But unfortunately, the winger, while putting on some footwork, just lost control of the ball. Nothing really going the way of Yafos.
Just haven't been able to string enough phases together. CR's defense has been pretty good when it has been called upon. Here's Aryapala bumping off one tackle and then two, eventually wrapped up by the cover defense. Costa again goes backwards before kicking forwards. Has faith in the length of his box kick, and that time Nadun Gunasekara finds the safety of the touchline.
As the players seem to be tiring a bit as well. Things aren't going either side's way. After CR managed to secure their 22 points within before the half-hour mark. The last 7 to 8 minutes have not been really nice to watch. Scrappy bit of play for both teams. Conditions too not helping their cause.
Another scrappy line out from CR. As much as they have 22 points on the board, this will not make Coach Loke happy. It's an important area of the game when they come up against harder opposition. Karunatilaka opts to go wide. Nice pass by Randy Silva, but a little too hard again for his winger. He really needs to weight that pass a little bit better. Neither Kavidu Yasas nor Gamunu Chetia will be thanking their outside centre this evening if he doesn't understand how he needs to give that pass to the wingers.
And especially in terrible conditions like this, they just need to throw a soft pass at the Vindri Kota, as he too is running onto the ball with some pace, where it will make his life easy. But for now, passes have not been the best from the centres to their wingers, and the number of scrums are testament to that.
Once again, Jayasinghe to feed from the right side of the scrum instead of the favoured left. So Coach Shamli Nawaz, who was with Air Force last year, brought that into the game, exploiting the rules, but that time it comes out straight out of the tunnel. It's a difficult place because the hooker is on the opposite side and he has to hook almost with an internal rotation of his hip and an external rotation of his ankle. So really is quite a difficult task. He has brought his left brake foot forward, so he's hooking with the opposite foot this time. Here's Madhushan at first receiver. Tries to get past Tenukadane Akara, but brought down eventually by Ravin De Silva. Strong carry that time by Air Force's Pereira. Using their big ball carriers, Air Force haven't been able to put the ball through the hands or allow Gayantha Iddamal go to any space. Aryapala needed to be careful there as he was well off his feet. Vikramasinghe. Piyum Jayasinghe, Madhushan, Iddamalgoda. Sudat Bandara who made that carry. Here's Sashika Ashan. Strong run by the former Wesley second row. Madhushan again. Now they go a little bit wide, but Idda Malgoda has had enough of going backwards, so he kicks it long. And now Kushantandu tries to find his way across the park, but a good track and tackle from Madhushan that time. Here's Adisha Veeratunga now breaking free, hurdling a tackler, but referee says that attempt to hurdle him was dangerous, and you have to agree with referee Ravin Alexander. You can't have players jumping into tackles. Doesn't help them or the tackler.
Yes, and now decision time, and it will be interesting to see what sort of decision is made. They're trailing by quite a margin, and by the looks of it, they are going to the safety of touch. But will it be a profitable decision?
Well, 22-3 is not going to win you the game. You've got to score tries, and at the same time, you have to add about 10 to 15 meters to each kick, given the conditions. So I think Air Force would have thought, let's just go to the line. Our line-out has been functioning well. Let's take our chances, and it's a good decision. Amit Gunasinghe is back after that blood bin. And that's the end of the first half. Referee Ravin Alexander blows a turnaround. Parakram Ratnayaka has a few things to clarify with the referee, as all captains do. But that brings an end to a dominant first half performance by CR&FC. 22 points to nil. Air Force had their best opportunity in those dying moments of the first half. First time they'd really encroached into the CR22. But nothing to show for it.
Quite the dominant performance there by CR, as you rightly said, Shanaka. They did manage to get off to a good start, scored 4 tries, secured the 4-try bonus point, as well as we see 22 points to nil. CR&FC leading here at London Place at the end of the first half. Action was plentiful as Yafost kicked the game off, and it took CR&FC just 2 minutes or so as a good kick was chased by Gamanu Chetia, and he dived over. Rather, he just slid through and dotted down for the first try. Then the second try was quite comical, as the clearance kick from Idda Malgoda did not leave the in-goal area, as Lasindu Karunadilage dotted down. Moments later, it was Tenuka Nanakara. He threw a dummy and dived over for the third try. And with the extras were added by Nanakara. And on the half-hour mark, Kavindu De Costa took a quick tap, gave it away to Ravin, as he just threw the ball to Randy Silva. He dived over for the fourth try, and that put CR into a comfortable 22-0 lead. We will go in for a short commercial break and be back on the other side with second half action.
contenders, 1 champion. Nippon Paint Rugby League, 1st December onwards. Live on the Papare TV, Dialog TV Channel 126, Dialog ViU app and ThePapare.com, Sri Lanka's #1 sports channel.
Smashed him for 6. Big bombs. Myers at a go. Richardson knocks him over.
You in the big league.
Celebration. He is fired up.
Big leagues now.
Magnificent catch.
You in the big leagues now.
Taken.
Big leagues now.
Heroic. He gets all of it.
The biggest bash of T20 cricket is here. KFC Big Bash League 2023.
The largest paint supplier of Japanese vehicles. Original equipment manufacturer approved, Nax Premila 2K is the most premium quality auto refinishing solution you will ever need.
ශ්‍රී ලාංකීය ක්‍රීඩා විකාශනයේ මෙතෙක් අත් නොවිති නව්‍යතම අත්දැකීම් සමගින් ක්‍රීඩා ටෙලිවිෂනයේ සම්ප්‍රාප්තිය The Papare TV Dialog Television නාලිකාංක 126 ඔස්සේ ශ්‍රී ලංකාවේ අංක 1 ක්‍රීඩා නාලිකාව.
Protect your home from harmful bacteria. Nippon Paint Medifresh, a powerful combination of silver and zinc ions. Nippon Paint, the coatings expert.
Hey, have you heard about Z?
ZZ. We KYC.
Easy.
Mobile banking. Crazy.
Education loans and salary advances. Amazing.
Introducing the Digital Youth Account. NDBZ. NDBZ from NDB Bank. The future is banking on us.
Contenders, 1 champion. Nippon Paint Rugby League, 1st December onwards. Live on the Papare TV, Dialog TV Channel 126, Dialog ViU app and ThePapare.com, Sri Lanka's #1 sports channel.
Introducing NeosPay, a fun way to make payments from your Neos app. For the fun of paying, #NeosPay.
The history maker of sport. Innovative, incomparable, unleashing an experience. The Papare TV. Now exclusively on Dialog TV channel #126, Sri Lanka's #1 sports channel.
Spicy fun vibe එක විවර කරන්න beat එක remake කරන්නට වෙන්න හදවත බාවලා යන්න ගින්නර fashion කරන්න fun තුරන්න කොතුමි කික්ක කොල්ලන්න ක්‍රීමා කොතුමි fun තමයි.
The history maker of sport. Innovative, incomparable, unleashing an experience. The Papare TV. Now exclusively on Dialog TV channel #126, Sri Lanka's #1 sports channel.
Smashed him for 6. Big bombs. Myers at a go. Richardson knocks him over.
You in the big league.
Celebration. He is fired up.
Big leagues now.
Magnificent catch.
You in the big leagues now.
Taken.
Big leagues now.
Heroic. He gets all of it.
The biggest bash of T20 cricket is here. KFC Big Bash League 2023.
Club Rugby is back on the Papare. Eight contenders, 1 champion. Nippon Paint Rugby League, 1st December onwards. Live on the Papare TV, Dialog TV Channel 126, Dialog ViU app and ThePapare.com, Sri Lanka's #1 sports channel.
Smashed him for 6. Big bombs. Myers at a go. Richardson knocks him over.
You in the big league.
Celebration. He is fired up.
Big league stand.
Magnificent catch.
You in the big league stand.
Taken.
Big league stand.
Heroic. He gets all of it.
The biggest bash of T20 cricket is here. KFC Big Bash League 2023.
Season 1 Danuma, Season 2 Charitavaliya, Season 3 Krida Viplava.
ශ්‍රී ලාංකීය ක්‍රීඩා විකාශනයේ මෙතෙක් අත් නොවිති නව්‍යතම අත්දැකීම් සමගින් ක්‍රීඩා ටෙලිවිෂනයේ සම්ප්‍රාප්තිය The Papare TV ඩාලොග් ටෙලිවිෂන් නාලිකාංක 126 ඔස්සේ ශ්‍රී ලංකාවේ අංක 1 ක්‍රීඩා නාලිකාව.
8 contenders, 1 champion. Nippon Paint Rugby League. 1st December onwards. Live on the Papare TV, Dialog TV Channel 126, Dialog ViU app and ThePapare.com, Sri Lanka's #1 sports channel.
Smashed him for 6. Richardson knocks him over. Magnificent catch. He gets all of it.
KFC Big Bash League 2023.
As the referee and players make their way back into the center of field. We're back with live action from the second half. CR&FC in with a comfortable 22 points to nil lead here at London Place. And it has been pretty much one-way traffic, and you don't see things turning around too fast or too soon.
Well, the rain has eased up since kickoff, Romario, so that's good news for the players. But we also saw the handling errors creeping up towards the end of that game, toward the end of that first half. And now the underfoot conditions will become a little bit trickier, although this CR ground is probably one of the best maintained grounds in the country. It drains pretty fast, but there's absolutely no sunlight out here. And what you're seeing on your screens is a result of the enhanced light through the high-tech Papare cameras. But it's much darker in actual fact here at the ground, and Ravin Alexander blows the first penalty of the game, in the first penalty of the half rather, in favour of Air Force.
The CR player there was not supporting his body weight, and his hands did strike the floor as he went to get that turnover, and that's why the referee did penalise the home team as Air Force clear their lines.
No changes yet for CR. One enforced change for Air Force, with Sasika Ashan coming on for Mimukti Fernando. Prakar Ratnaik overthrows that one, and Lasindu Vishan sends a hopeful pass out to Tenukanane Akkara. Randy Silva has changed his shirt. Gamunu Chetia gets smashed by Pramod Padmasanka. Nice little short pass, but just too much. Shehan Kalaniagoda it was who dropped that one. Another CR player who's taking over from their older brother, Ravin De Silva, as I said earlier, who takes over on the flank from Malit De Silva. And Shehan Kalaniagoda taking over on the flank from his brother Dilshan, who was a centre, now domiciled in Dubai. And of course, Kavinder De Costa in that number 9 shirt, taking over for not one but two brothers, both who played at centre and fly half. Hume Jasingh making a comeback. Madhushan. It's a good kick from Ishara Madhushan, and not a good pass to Kushan Tarindu. The chase is good, but the conditions are slippery for the would-be tacklers, and Kushan Tarindu has recovered well. Costa. Lashindu Ishan is standing at first receiver, and this is good from CR to make sure that just a couple of their forwards are carrying the ball. Nice box kick, first time we've seen it in this game from De Costa. Now a little bit of space opening up for Air Force. Coming back into the field of play that time was Udesh Madhushanka.
Some good strength shown there by Gamru Chetia. He let the centre pass the ball to the wing three-quarter, and once the winger received the ball, he knew that he was going to step in all day long with the conditions to not help in the players, the underfoot conditions, and once he stepped in, he got a good shoulder in there and just guarded the attacker out into touch.
Yes, he's a strong lad, always was, and now he's got the muscle mass behind it as well, Romario. So good to see his defensive capabilities getting better as a result. Finally, CR&FC winning a line out at the front. Adisha Veeratunga had a couple of grabs at that, and De Costa will now go to the box kick. Clearly, it's something that they've spoken about at half-time. So penalty is in favour of CR. An offside call, Romario. I'm not sure whether you caught that. I think the fly half may have been inside the 10 metres. Did see referee Alexander signal the 10-metre call. See the 10-metre signal there. That's the only thing I can think of. Nanyakara. Coming back on the angle was Lashindu Ishan, still going. The big number 8. It's been such a good addition for CR in that number 8 jersey, crossing over the short distance down Jawat Road from Havelock Sports Club. Big loss for them, of course. Again, Air Force's discipline letting them down. Amit Gunasinghe thinks of the short tap this time, but they might go to the corner. So I wonder who's leading them now that Soiru Anthony is on the bench. Romario, do you know who might the on-field captain be?
By the looks of it, I think it's De Costa with the captain's duty, but he also has some good support with Adisha and Ashan Darlin as well in the pack to provide their impetus as well. But the previous call was assisted from the touchline, as they opted to go for scrum.
Lasindu controls at the back, and a nice little old school move, 8-9 back on the loop, but a really good tackle meeting Lasindu Ishan that time. Superb defense from Air Force. They'll need a bit more of that if they are to claw them way back into this game. So against Police, CR finished strongly, but this time they've started well also. And they need to make sure they carry on for the full 80 minutes. Flat pass. Ishan looking for a short runner but not finding one. No advantage, says the referee, so they will come back for a penalty. They have two of them, and De Costa clearly is making the decisions. So he calls for the one closest to the post, and they will ask for a scrum.
Yet again, the Air Force defenders just caught under pressure, and it's good to see that CR&FC aren't just taking their foot off the gas. They continue to tighten the screws on Air Force, even though they are in with a comfortable 22-point lead.
Can't think of anything much more obvious than Lasindu Ishan going off the back here. Got numbers each way, but Amit Gunasinghe, they're asking him to go back and get his wound dressed, and Kavin Srivukam will come in, not at the ideal time for the red shirts because they had an attacking scrum. Would wanted the heavier man. But if Karunatilaka is going on the right side, which is the traditional side for the number 8 to break, Romario, I'm surprised that CR have stacked as many three-quarters on the right side of the field. Probably want to stack them onto the left, so allowing Lasindu Ishan a few less defenders to run at. Pramod Padmasankar is the man who will be entrusted with that first tackle, but they're not going that way, they're going the opposite way. Tenukanane Akara gives it to Kavindu Yasas, and that's a lovely little step from Kavindu Yasas, stepping inside the field of play. It was not an easy pass to take, and you can see that the three-quarters enjoyed that one.
Yes, of course, there was a lovely bit of deception there by the CR&FC backline. They stood on the right-hand side, and once the ball was fed, they just moved back to the left-hand side and caught the defenders napping. And just one long cut-out pass there by Tenuka Nanayakara, as a couple of defenders were taken out of play. And the Winthrecourt, of course, he did have quite the bit of work to do there. Kavindu, and stepped inside, dotted over for the fifth try for CR&FC. And as we see Tenuka Nanayakara preparing to kick the conversion over, the weather, the rains just seeming to intensify a bit more. Tenuka Nanayakara from the far touchline makes no mistake. 29 points to nil. CR&FC in with a comfortable lead. This was the replay there. As De Costa looked to go to the right hand side, he saw his support players just swiveling back to the left, and 1-2 passes from then on, and there was no stopping Kavindu.
Not sure that was a planned move when you look at it again, Romario. I think they might have wanted to go right, but it was a good scrum in the end by Air Force. Defensively they were very good. They didn't give a nice platform for CR to work off on that ball, which is why they had to maybe go for the second option. It's a good kick. Finding a lot of space, and that's something that Air Force need to be doing a little bit more, kicking. The rains have intensified. The heavens have opened again, Romario, and wonder how that will affect the players.
Air Force have, beg your pardon, CR&FC have really done well to hold on to possession and starve Air Force with possession as well. And every time they did get possession, some good defensive play by CR has seen Air Force lose out. And yet again, now Kavindu Yasas puts on a bit of footwork, but unfortunately for him this time around, he loses the ball in contact.
Pyum Jayasinghe. This time Iddamalgoda has enough time to clear. Again, CR perhaps trying to score a little bit too early in the piece. Thought Randy Silva probably should have held on to that ball. Created another phase. Air Force making another change with Revanka Abewardena coming in. And Parakrama Ratnayaka also leaving the field to give way to Shamika Kaushan. Abewardena will be pretty familiar with these conditions. He's playing some rugby down in Auckland, where this is a bright sunny day, Romario.
Indeed, the sun seems to be quite a luxury in those parts of the world. But now he is coming in to a game which has quite a different feel. And Air Force on the scoreboard as well, trailing 29 points with everything to play for.
Jayasinghe with the right-sided feed once again. Padma Shankar. He's played really well in what has been an average performance from the Air Force backs as they look to find a little bit of space. That was Nadun Gunasekara making the break. Shara Madhushan. Nirmal Vikramasinghe. Jayasinghe again, and Madhushan has no option but to kick. They've come away from their 5-meter line though. That will make them very happy. Kushan Tarindu. Not really a kicking fullback. Likes to counter-attack and manages to win the penalty as well for not releasing.
The tackler not releasing there is the signal given by referee Ravin Alexander, as we see the CR forwards too, rather the CR bench just warming themselves up in quite tough conditions here at London Place. And changes are being made. Jason replaces Pyum Jayasinghe at number 9.
Srivikum with his line-out throw, and that time it's better for CR, but this time it's Tenuka Nanayakar who drops it. He's probably so surprised that the forwards actually caught a line-out that he dropped the ball.
And for his efforts, he got a bit of mud too in his face, as the trailing defender just left a bit of a cheap shot. Not too much of harm done, but the rains are just continuing to intensify, and things are just going from bad to worse conditions wise for both teams. But on the scoreboard it's Air Force who are trailing, and trailing quite.
The Air Force scrum seems rejuvenated. Jason Karunaratne with his first feed. The former Peter Wright. Revanka Abewardena goes off the back and gives it to Jason Karunaratne. That time Ishara Madhushan juggles well and gets a beautiful offload away. Here's a little bit of space now being made available. Jumping over that tackle was Sudat Bandara. No harm done, says the referee. And here's Gayanthit Damalgoda finally with a bit of space. Padma Sankar. This is better from Air Force. Into the 22 he goes. The penalty is coming. Jason Karunaratne and Ishara Madhushan having maybe a slight debate on what they are to do, but at 29-0 I can only think that kicking to the corner is the first option.
And he gets a good bit of distance on that kick for Yafos. And now after quite some time, Yafos in with a line out with about 7 to 8 meters away from the CR try line.
Straight to the front goes Air Force, and CR tried to return the favour by pushing them out into touch. But looks like Air Force have managed to control this ball. It's an untidy mess of bodies. DeCosta screaming instructions saying, get out of there. Set your defensive line, and that's why, because Air Force had the ball coming their way. Madhushan fakes long, goes short. Now a little bit of space for Sudat Bandara. But Gamanu Chetia makes a good tackle recovering. The ball eventually squirts into touch. But Air Force looking like they finally found some continuity, Romario, and some confidence.
Yes, and they are somehow managing to change gears and take things to the next level. But unfortunately for them, they are unable to add the finishing touch, as we see a few changes coming in for CR&FC.
Randul Seranayaka coming in. Tanuj Jayavira going off. Kavindu DeCosta has put in a superb shift. Really game managed very well, Romario. We'll see who's coming in his place.
He did call the shots, and he did well to direct the traffic, and that too reflects on the scoreboard for CR&FC. All the hard work put in by Kavindu at the base.
It's another DeCosta that's come in, Dinsara DeCosta. Adisha does well at the front of the line out. Immediately sacked well by Air Force. Kalaniagoda throwing that little flick back in, but not enough room to play with.
Not the best of decisions there to break down the short side. We would have been better off if we just kept the ball in the ruck and had the scrum half clear things. But having said that, I think they have got a penalty advantage.
Sri Vikram to throw. Nice jump by Adisha Veeratunga, but it looks like this CR team have an arrangement. If the forwards catch it, the backs will drop it.
Dropped cold there on that occasion by the replacement scrum half. Quite unfortunate fashion there, as CR relinquish yet another attack in ball. As we see the replay there. Not the best first touch you could ask for.
Well, I thought the pass from in the air was good enough. Vincent De Costa will take a little bit of time to get used to the conditions. Difficult to come into a game and pick up where a player who's been playing well has left off. Revank Abewardena showing his strength. Crosses the gain line for Air Force. Looping round is Madhushan, but his loop was maybe a little too slow. Jason Karunaratne has added a little bit of urgency to this side. Might needed to have come in a little earlier. Madhushan deputizing at scrum half. Iddamal Goda doing so at fly half. Here's Sashika Ashan. An underrated player who's probably needs to get a little bit more ball in hand. Nirmal Vikramasinghe acts as the decoy, and Gayanthi Iddamal Goda's pass is well dealt with by Nadun. Madhushankar using him in the tram lines quite a bit. Hands over the tackle is the call from referee Ravid Alexander, and Sudat Bandara will go quickly, but it's a clumsy tackle. Really clumsy tackle by Navin Marasinghe, who knew immediately that he was going to go to the bin. And he's at the start of something for Air Force. Can they claw their way back to at least double digits?
They have quite the mountain to climb, but trailing by 29 points. If they are to get anything out of this game, they will have to score 30 points, and that's quite the task to ask from, with just a little more than 20 minutes left, and also in wet and soggy, terrible conditions here at London Place.
Dr. Namit Sankalpana out very quickly to just examine Sudat Bandara. They're checking his neck because the very large arm of Navin Marasinghe did pull him down, but I don't think the collision was so bad. It just looked much worse because Marasinghe dragged him to the floor, Romario. So I don't think the collision would have done as much damage as it looked. So I'm sure Sudat Bandara is going to be okay to continue.
A seatbelt tackle, they call that. And on that occasion, I think he just wriggled him around, and that's why it looked a bit bad than what it felt. But having said that, a high tackle nonetheless. Yellow card for Navin Marasinghe, and now Yafos with a little more than 20 minutes left and one man up.
It's an important man that CR have lost. He was doing a lot of work in the tight, adding a lot of bulk to what CR&FC were doing. So it will be a confidence booster for Air Force to know that that big man has gone off.
We can also see that Suhiru Anthony has found himself coming on to the play into the lock-in position.
The experienced CR skipper onto the park in place of Adisha Veeratunga, it looks like. Randul Senanayaka also has come on in place of Dilshan Kalaniagoda. In fact, in place of Ravin De Silva. Kalaniagoda is still on the park. No, Ravin is as well. So Lasindu Ishan has gone off for Randul Senanayaka. Scored the first try of the game. Scored a try in the game, Lasindu Ishan. Air Force now will try to open their account after an hour of play. Jason Karunaratne signalling for the forwards to go left. Nobody takes his signal though. And Madhushan drops it backwards. It was a good idea. Execution was not exactly on point. And Air Force have to wait a little longer to try and get their first try.
Quite a brave play there by Ishar. He spotted that he had the advantage. Put a little bit of a chip kick over the defensive line as the sweeper was a bit far away coming in. The scrum half in the number 31 jumper for CR&FC. It was a pinpoint accurate kick, but unfortunately Gandhi Iddamalgoda just failed to collect the ball.
I think Iddamalgoda slightly overran it. He should have probably left it for the man behind him. Of course, these things happen in split seconds. Easy for us to say from the relative dryness of the commentary box. But it was a really good play from Madhushan and probably deserved a try, you have to say.
Rightly said, it did deserve a try, but unfortunately for Gandhi Iddamalgoda and his Air Force mates, wasn't able to secure the ball cleanly as Dore makes his entrance. And by the looks of it, it's Tenuka Nanakar who finds himself being substituted off. And it'll be interesting to see in which position Dore settles down, as the line out is won. But from then on, CR&FC infringe, and Air Force managed to secure a penalty.
Not coming through the gate is a call. Kavin Srivikum looks on in disbelief, as all front rowers do. Nadun Gunasekara, who's been good today, finds touch. It's not an easy game for a fullback. Nice little bit of hands from Revanka Abewardena. A pre-planned first phase move. Jason Karunaratne urging his forwards on here. They desperately want their first try, Air Force. Doesn't matter how many points you are behind. The first try is always a big moment in the game. Looked like the ball might have just squirted out. Referee might have missed it, but the assistant referee may have caught a knock on. Let's see whether there's a communication. And referee stops the clock. He'll go and have a chat. You can see that the assistant did spot, but referee Ravin Alexander was blindsided by the forward pack. And he did see that ball squirting out from under the arm of one of the Air Force players. So 2 knock-ons, just thwarting Air Force in their attempt to get over the line.
Quite unfortunate there for Air Force. They did all the hard work there, but unfortunately at the last moment, they failed to secure the ball when the player was going into contact. And it's good to see the referees too working in tandem.
Spare a thought for the assistants, isn't it, Romario? We probably both know what it feels like to be standing cold and alone on the touchline when the weather is pelting down. Luckily, the assistant referees today don't have the added luxury of a hostile crowd. Zubair Dore. Putting that kick into touch. Looks like he'll be playing at fly half for the rest of this game, Romario. Probably his more favoured position, but not really the time or the conditions for him to show what he can do.
Tough conditions for either side, and it's good to see that CR&FC have emptied their bench and they are giving in a run on for the players on the sidelines as well. Horrendous line out there on the location.
Got to feel for Kaushan, who is throwing in a horribly wet ball. Randul Senanayake immediately making the step up from schoolboy rugby to club rugby. It's good to see the likes of Marasinghe, Randul, Kushan Tarindu, Rinesh Silva, all making the transition seamlessly.
Some good play there by Jason. He spotted that the CR scrum half took just a moment to make his decision and pass, and that was enough for Jason to just come from around the ruck and dive on and make sure that the pass did not go to his intended recipient, and the ball was knocked on.
He's added a lot, hasn't he, since he's come on? Air Force have looked much better in this second half, but also CR will need to remind themselves that after they went to their bench, they've scored only 7 points in this last 27 minutes of rugby. So that's something that will upset Leuke, who is a perfectionist, I have to say. Need to go 80 minutes to really make an impression on the top side, Kandy, and of course the other sides that they'll meet along the way. Another yellow card, so that's not helpful. Randul Senanayake, almost as soon as he's come on, has to go off. So this is something that the schoolboys coming into the game, Marasinghe and Randul Senanayake, two captains of their schools, will need to really grow up quickly, isn't it, Romario? They can't afford in their first season as club rugby players to be giving away yellow cards.
Indeed, and in crucial occasions, Shanaka, they need to make sure that they just keep their head and don't lose their head. And thankfully for them, this game is pretty much a dead rubber from here on. But in the crucial encounters that are yet to come, they surely need to just make sure that they keep their head in these vital moments without doing anything silly.
Well, you've got to think Air Force must get their try now with 2 men down on the opposition. Opting to keep it tight. Yes, Karunaratne. Good ball inside, but not sure it was the right option as CR's defense was lurking. Aryapala does well. Madhushan to Iddamalgoda. Iddamalgoda shows and goes and gives a lovely soft pass to Pramod Padmasankar. I'm sorry, it's Udesh Madhushankar who scores. He's been hanging out in the tram lines and came back on a beautiful angle. And he really deserves his try. He's worked really hard today. Madhushankar found an extra pair of wheels when he needed to and came back on the angle. And it was a very good pass by Gayantha Iddamalgoda as well. Put it right out in front of the big flanker.
He made that initial break, Gayantha Iddamalgoda, and from then on there was no stopping him. As we see him, he just stepped on the accelerator, and then that lovely pass to the number 7 who was trailing in and coming at good pace. Diving over for the first try for Yafo Sports Club. Navin Marasinghe seemed to have made his way back into the field.
Murshid Zubair to kick off the last 10 minutes of the game. Revan Kabewardena running into Ravin De Silva. Nadun Gunasekara clears. Kushan Tarindu. We find Zubair. Chetia finally seeing the ball after a long hiatus. Nice run onto that ball by Gayan. Here's Zubair. Lovely little show and go from Imankari Apala. Brilliant run by the big centre. Vincere De Costa opts not to give the ball. Marasinghe fresh from his enforced rest. CR playing at pace now. Know that they need to hit back after they had a try scored against them. Kavin Sriviku. Ravin De Silva now. The leg drive, staying strong. Marasinghe, can we stop him from 5 meters out? Yes, they can. At least for now. Kalaniagoda this time. Fighting his way to the line. Looks like they might hold him up over the line. Yes, they have. And it's a goal line dropout. But they will come back for a penalty. No signal as to what that was for. Might be not rolling away. And our Black Knights player of the match today, in trying conditions, a man who managed the game really well, managed the pace, is former captain and today's captain as well for CR&FC, Kavindu De Costa. Put in a real shift. You have to say one aspect of CR's game which they will have to work on in the next week is the line out, Romario. The inclusion of someone of the quality of Adisha Veeratunga still don't seem to have benefit that plagued them last season as well.
I think the hooker too will have to work on hitting his target more often, and as much as he works on hitting his targets, the lifters and the forwards all need to work in unison. And I'm sure, even though this is wet conditions here, the line-out has been in shambles. And as you rightly said, Shanaka, going forward with the big games to come, line-outs are one crucial aspect of it, and they can't be losing so many line-outs if they are to win a game against a much stiffer opponent.
Sugat Nanayakkara and Venuda Kodagoda joining Kavin Srivakum in the front row for CR as they try to exert some pressure on this defensive crumb. Rebanka Abewardene does really well coming off the back of that one. And Ishara Madhushan takes the hit. Nadun Gunasekara, really good kick. He's been one of the players that have stood out alongside Ishara Madhushan for Air Force. The forwards have really done well in the second half too. 7 points to 5 is the second half score, Romario, and the Air Force will pat themselves on the back for that.
They have had a few more sparks in the second half than they had in the first half. But having said that, this sort of a performance is nowhere close to putting CR&FC under pressure.
Nice take from Soiri Anthony, but referee gives the option to the players and they will take a line out. It's not an option that you see too often, but obviously Air Force's line out has been far better performing than their scrum against this opposition.
You could see the coach just yelling from behind there, for telling the players to go for a scrum, but instead they opt for line out.
Managed to control that ball eventually. CR competing well, and Gayanthi Damalgoda with a little chip through. Does well to anticipate that the ball won't bounce very high and goes down on it really quickly. Experience of Damalgoda. Here's the sole try scorer for Air Force, Madhushankar. Jason Karunaratne, who plays like a fourth back rower from the scrum half position. And because of that, Madhushan needs to go in. Good counter ruck from Soiru Anthony, just delaying. Good ball, Sashika Ashan in the tram lines. Good hit that time from Rinesh Silva. Damalgoda. So pass way back, coming from depth, Air Force. Just not enough gas to run onto that one from Aaron Pereira. And that's the game. CR&FC winning this one comfortably in the end, 29 points to 5, largely thanks to a brilliant first half performance. Couple of yellow cards towards the end of the game will not please the coach, and took the gloss off what could have been a thumping win. But they will be happy that their first game at home at Longden Place after 3 weeks of the season has ended in a comfortable bonus point win, Romario.
Yes, indeed. Not the best conditions to play some good brand of rugby, but having said that, it's all about getting the victory in these sort of games, in the tough games. That's where the champions stand out, and that's exactly what CR&FC have done this afternoon, getting the victory over Yafos 29 points to 5 in tough conditions. They somehow managed to get in a good first half performance, and that's what helped them see this game through. But Yafos will have plenty to ponder on and plenty to work on if they are to bounce back from this season, as they have lost 2 games and just secured a solitary win.
3 wins on the trot for CR as they aim to keep the pressure on the top club, which is Kandy Sports Club, unsurprisingly at the moment. But in conditions like this, Sudarshana, there's no saying what could happen. It's the equivalent of a 5th day golf pitch, where it doesn't matter whether top team is playing the bottom team. That's the confirmation of the full-time score here on ThePapare.com. CR&FC 29, Air Force 5.
These were the second half highlights. Not too much of highlights in the second half. Just a couple of tries for the two teams. First it was Kavindu De Costa setting up Tenuka Nayakara, where he gave it to Yasas as he stepped in and scored the first try for CR in that second half. Try went converted successfully by Tenuka Nayakara, and Yafos, their only points coming off the big number 7, the flank set up by Gayanthi Damagoda. Those were the only tries in the second half, as the game ended 29 points to 5. 5 tries for CR&FC, converting 2, while Yafos just managed that solitary try, which went unconverted. And of course the Black Knight player of the match, Kavindu De Costa, for his guidance, and as he guided CR&FC from the base of the scrum, showed some good leadership skills there to direct the traffic.
It's not exactly a black night yet, but it is a super grey evening, and congratulations to CR&FC for pulling off their first home game of the season. 29 points to 5 against a plucky but unfortunate Air Force team, and they will be dangerous on their home turf in Ratmalana as well, and they will take away a lot of confidence from the second half of this game. We'll join you with a lot more action from this Nippon Paints Rugby League 23-24 on ThePapare.com and of course Dialog TV. And from Romario and myself and the whole of the Papare production team, it's goodbye for now.
කොත්තුමි ෆන් තමයි.
Hey, have you heard about Z?
Z. We KYC.
Easy.
Mobile banking. Crazy.
Education loans and salary advances.
Amazing. Introducing the Digital Youth Account. NDBZ. NDBZ from NDB Bank. The future is banking on us.
Eight contenders, one champion. Nippon Paint Rugby League. 1st December onwards. Live on the Papare TV, Dialog TV Channel 126, Dialog ViU app and ThePapare.com, Sri Lanka's #1 sports channel. The largest paint supplier of Japanese vehicles, original equipment manufacturer approved, Nax Premila 2K is the most premium quality auto refinishing solution you will ever need. The history maker of sport. Innovative, incomparable, unleashing an experience. The Papare TV. Now exclusively on Dialog TV channel number 126, Sri Lanka's #1 sports channel.
Protect your home from harmful bacteria. Nippon Paint Medifresh, a powerful combination of silver and zinc ions. Nippon Paint, the coatings expert.
Club Rugby is back on the Papare. 8 contenders, 1 champion. Nippon Paint Rugby League, 1st December onwards. Live on the Papare TV, Dialog TV Channel 126, Dialog ViU app and ThePapare.com, Sri Lanka's #1 sports channel.
Smashed him for 6. Big bombs. Myers at it going. Richardson knocks him over.
You in the big league.
Celebration. He is fired up.
Big league stand.
Magnificent catch.
You in the big league stand.
Taken.
Big league stand.
Heroic. He gets all of it.
The biggest bash of T20 cricket is here. KFC Big Bash League 2023.
Introducing NeosPay, a fun way to make payments from your Neos app. For the fun of paying, #NeosPay.
The history maker of sport. Innovative, incomparable, unleashing an experience. The Papare TV. Now exclusively on Dialog TV channel number 126, Sri Lanka's #1 sports channel.
Hot and spicy fun vibe එක විවර කරන්න. Beat එක remake කරන්නට වෙන්න. හදවත බාවලා යන්න ගින්නර fashion කරන්න. Fun තුරන්න කොත්තුමි කික්කි කොරන්න. Prima කොත්තුමි fun තමයි.
ශ්‍රී ලාංකීය ක්‍රීඩා විකාශනයේ මෙතෙක් අත් නොවිති නව්‍යතම අත්දැකීම් සමගින් ක්‍රීඩා ටෙලිවිෂනයේ සම්ප්‍රාප්තිය The Papare TV ඩාලොග් ටෙලිවිෂන් නාලිකාංක 126 ඔස්සේ ශ්‍රී ලංකාවේ අංක 1 ක්‍රීඩා නාලිකාව.
Club Rugby is back on the Papare. Eight contenders, 1 champion. Nippon Paint Rugby League, 1st December onwards. Live on the Papare TV, Dialog TV Channel 126, Dialog ViU app and ThePapare.com, Sri Lanka's #1 sports channel.
came from the mud. There's dirt on my hands. Strong like a tree. There's roots where I stand. Oh, I've been running from the law. Hope they won't shoot me down soon. They sing on a sleepless night. Try to catch me howling at the moon.